There's a lot of other stuff that we need to talk about, right? The weaker counties, so-called weaker counties, Division 3 and 4, are now being rebranded as Tier 2.
Yeah.
So it's a Tier 2 competition that has been suggested by the good people of Wicklow, who are saying that there was a meeting of, actually I forget who the meeting was of, but anyway, it was whatever initial group were like, they're all unanimous about the fact that they're going to have a look at an investigation into, perhaps form a committee to think about the potential at some point, maybe in the future, of having a Tier 2 competition that runs in parallel to the Tier 1 competition. Now, what this would mean for the Tier 1 competition, i.e. the All-Ireland Championships in football, would be that if you're a Division 3 and Division 4 team, you don't get into the qualifiers after you get knocked out of the Provincial Championship. Instead, you go into this Tier 2 pot, which is a parallel All-Ireland Championship, which will be played on the biggest stage and the biggest games, you know, as a curtain raiser.
The jazz hand suggests that you're not totally behind this.
As a curtain raiser to, say, I don't know, Roscommon versus... Who did Roscommon play in Croker this year?
Dublin. And then they had 2 games in Croke Park, didn't they? Because they had to play Dublin away and they played Tyrone there as well.
Okay, so imagine a heaving Croke Park for Roscommon Tyrone, and the precursor to that, to give them their big day out, is Leitrim against Wexford football. It's like, this is a competition we can all get behind, right?
It would certainly get behind that more than a number of other fixtures that might not happen, or that might happen down the line in the qualifiers. The thing about it, the key component of...
Sorry, did I miss any of the details? You go on.
I'm sure, you remember it. Like, the key component is the fact that all counties will be in the race for Sam Maguire at the start of the year, which has been a sticking point for some of these counties. In my view, that sticking point has actually been the barrier to any progress in any meaningful championship structure. So everybody will enter the run for Sam Maguire. If you don't make your provincial final as a Tier 2 county, aka Division 3, Division 4 team, you're going to get relegated to Division 2, Tier 2 I should say, and compete in that championship for the rest of the year. The semi-finals and the final are proposed from Wicklow to take place on the same day as the senior Tier 1 semi-finals and final. And to be honest with you, if there was another semi-final on the same day as Monaghan Tyrone this year, you would have probably got over 50,000 people into Croke Park. So the fact that the Tier 1 championship is doing and is holding up the light of the football championship on its own and doing sensational work is probably not true at the moment.
What do you mean, sorry, if there had been another semi-final?
Well, like you mentioned there, that the idea of Wicklow or Wexford versus Leitrim as a curtain raiser, at least it's a meaningful game that might pump up the attendance beyond 50,000 at an All-Ireland semi-final.
And how is it meaningful?
Because they're competing for a Tier 2 All-Ireland Championship. They're playing teams of their own standard. They've got a summer to actually play a few games. This, to be honest with you, will actually be kind of a stepping stone, I'd imagine, to a lot of counties making that next step forward. They've actually certainly beats the hopelessness of getting knocked out in the middle of June.
Well, let's talk a bit more about this in the paper. We'll bring you through some of the details. Here's what's coming up on the show. The Tide 5 with Neil Tracy sometime around 9 o'clock this morning. We'll talk about the new proposals around this Gaelic Football Tier 2 Championship around about 8:45. Sports News with Darren Cleary coming your way at 8:35. Daniel Harris coming up at about 8:10, and... well, it's already 7:54, so we're 4 minutes late. Here's the morning newspapers.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
Okay, so back page of the Irish Independent this morning is leading with getting rid of O'Neill will cost £3 million. Defiant manager says FAI have no need to change and promises Ireland will qualify for Euro 2020 because I'm good.
Yeah, that €3 million figure has been doing the rounds now for a couple of weeks at this stage. So I think that's the main reason why we've been having this conversation yesterday as to who will replace Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane as a very hypothetical thing. And hypothetical is
you made the excellent point yesterday. This £3 million, they're not getting back no matter what happens. So if we don't qualify, that £3 million is wasted. It's a sunk cost. All you've got to do is go, right, I can have this £3 million and not qualify. I can not have this £3 million and not qualify, or I can spend another $1 million and get a new team in and this £3 million and potentially qualify. Which of these options is your option? Door number 1, lose the money and not qualify. Door number 2, lose the money and not qualify. Door number 3, lose the money and a bit more and maybe give yourself a chance of qualifying. Which is it?
Well, according to what we're seeing from Martin O'Neill, door 3 is actually door number 1 in that case, because we will qualify. He is good, he says. Absolutely is what he says in terms of qualification for Euro 2020. Fear not. Martin O'Neill is here?
Look, he's come out fighting, in fairness. So this is the written press conference after the digital and radio press conference from the post-match the other night, and they hold it until today's Thursday. So yeah, okay.
Thursday and Sunday.
And he's basically come out fighting and said, look, I'm still a good manager. I've been a good manager all my life. I've had setbacks and I've always come through them. And like, his track record is pretty good. Except the last job, the Sunderland job. But then that chairman didn't seem to be very good. That kind of seemed to be more... And also the rest of everybody else at Sunderland has also failed. So it's hard to judge him by that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm glad he's coming out fighting because you would want him to be defiant. He says that there's been no chats with Delaney and no chats, pardon me, with the board, so...
It seems Martin O'Neill is always fairly defiant when it comes to protecting his own reputation. You dare not suggest that Martin O'Neill doesn't come from a very good pedigree in terms of his managerial stock, in terms of who he's learned under, aka Brian Clough back in the day. You daren't suggest that he hasn't done a good job with Ireland. He will tell you that he's overachieved with his Ireland team in the past.
Because we're not very good.
You suggest, though, that his players aren't great and he'll happily let you take a swing at them. He won't be defiant in the face of defending his players, will he? The Martin O'Neill reputation certainly is more important than the player's reputation, and that's fair enough. If I was manager, I want to defend my reputation more than some other guys that I don't particularly see too often. But I just find it to be kind of an odd double standard. But taking this in isolation, I am happy that the Republic of Ireland manager is coming out swinging. Like, it would be worse if he was laying down. It is just sort of a different approach to how he approaches any questions about the standard of his squad.
Yeah, Vincent Hogan has the headline on his piece today is O'Neill safe because it would be too expensive to sack him. I mean, that comes back to the whole point that you were making yesterday, and just to repeat it, that maybe not sacking him is more expensive, in that you don't get any money if we don't qualify for the Euros. And then just to round out this story from the Irish Times, Emma Malone's piece is Delaney's dilemma: is it the manager or is it the players? And the truth is, we don't know, because we don't know how well this group of players would do under a different manager.
Yeah, without question. I think we do know that this group of players is not our best bunch of players that we've had. I would say that it's probably our worst squad this century. Our worst squad, maybe since the midnight. I would say you'd have to go back to pre-88 for a worst squad. But is it our worst squad in 30, 35 years? There's every chance it is, just in terms of looking at top-level talent. But then you look at the globalisation of what's happening in England, and that judge of saying that it's the worst squad we've had in 35 years is based solely on the fact of their club form. You go back 30, 35 years and the way we view English football and the way English football was penetrated from nationalities all around the world is vastly different. So maybe that's a tad unfair. But certainly the questions have to be asked of how strong is this squad. But similarly, there are tons of questions to be asked of this management, especially given how much they're earning.
The point that Emma goes on to make in his piece today is if O'Neill is the right man, however, the quality of the players comes into sharper focus. And whose responsibility is that? Well, that's John Delaney, as the chief executive of the FAI. Who's responsible for the quality, the overall quality of football in the country? It is the FAI. It's their job to build up the coaching structures, make sure the pathway is there, make sure the league, the domestic league, is a strong product that actually is a proper stepping stone for hothousing new young managerial talent, and also for rescuing people who might have failed in England and need to make a comeback, or for just giving people the opportunity to showcase their talents before they go off somewhere else. Need not necessarily obviously be England, but it always is in our case. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens over the next while. And once if the blame focus shifts from O'Neill to the FAI, how much patience is there then in the FAI to take the opprobrium from the fans, the media and the football public?
Plenty, I would say.
How much appetite there is for them?
Not appetite to take criticism, but patience, aka stubbornness.
But if they're taking criticism, if they're the ones with the focus of the criticism...
Has the FAI not been levelled with criticism for 10, 15 years now at this stage? Has John Delaney not always been the person that is like, all right, we've written all our column inches on the players, we've written all our column inches on the manager, now it's time to focus on John Delaney? Has he not withstood that time and time again? Like, what makes this any different? Is this going to be more vociferous? The
football public, I think, is the grassroots. Okay. It's if the grassroots decides...
An insurgence, almost.
Well, if the narrative is not, we don't have the players, but the FAI have prevented... Do you know that if the narrative shifts from, we're not producing the players, to, why aren't we producing the players? Oh, the systems are all wrong. Like, if that's what the narrative becomes, then that becomes the focus, and then the FAI board. So Gary Doyle's piece is pretty stark in the Times Ireland edition, where he's saying sack the board. Like, tough luck. you've done your service, but I think certainly it's an unusually, the age profile of that board is unusually high. Let me put it that way. To be
who makes that call? Who gets rid of the board?
Well,
Delaney.
They could resign. Delaney could do it, but
what are the chances of them resigning?
0, and sure, he's not going to sack them either because they elect him.
So I would then say, what's the next step then? Is like there's no kind of potential for some sort of independent body to come in and make some whole sweeping changes. I would say that nothing is going to change. We'll get to the end of the 2020 qualification period. We won't qualify. Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane's contract will be up. They'll shake their hands, they'll say goodbye, they'll walk off into the sunset, we'll appoint a new manager, and we'll move on to the next thing. The League of Ireland, under the current regime, is not going to make any step forward. In terms of youth development, as a result of that, it's not going to make any step forward. We might get lucky with a couple of generational talents, and everybody's face will be saved. But basically, we've stagnated, and we are probably still dwindling to a point of no return.
To move on to the rugby in the Irish Times today, Sports Thursday, there's a bit of nostalgia about the miracle match from the old Munster team, and then McCarthy to join Munster as Murray understudy. Once again, Leinster providing the backbone of Munster's future. Nick McCarthy is expected to join Munster next season. The 23-year-old scrum half would follow the career path of Joey Carberry and Andrew Conway by leaving Leinster to further his career prospects. It's unclear if Conor Murray's current understudies, Duncan Williams, who produced a career performance in Exeter last weekend, and James Hart will be retained. So the draft isn't kind of quite there just yet, but you can see the green shoots of our draft system.
Yeah, well, Leinster do have about 100 top quality scrum halves at this stage when everybody comes through next season. It makes sense from an IRFU perspective, doesn't it? Having that talent in Munster. Like, you would feel a bit sorry for Duncan Williams after his performance at the weekend. He is getting on a bit, I suppose.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Like, Albie Mathewson is gone in January is the thing. So James Hart might have to play a lot of minutes going into the new calendar year.
I'm good. I'll win. We'll qualify is the darkened picture of... you can actually see it better on on our PDF there. So there's the microphones, the uplighting, kind of slightly film noirish picture of Martin O'Neill on the front cover of the Examiner. The Examiner front page, they're always brilliant. I'm good. I'll win. We'll qualify. Yeah, good man, Martin. That's exactly what we want. I mean, that's the look. And I just want to jump forward to this story. Kerry lose Starlight O'Cumber to AFL's Cats. So Stephen O'Cumber, who was like one of the standout young footballers in the entire country, not just Kerry, is off obviously to join Geelong Cats. Geelong, isn't it? Geelong, on a 2-year rookie contract. What are you doing, Kerry? How can you let this happen?
I know. The next fullback, Kerry haven't had someone of that potential in that position.
There is Jack. You've got number 7 on there, but really, he was seen as the future fullback, right?
Yeah, well,
a proper Seamus Moynihan successor, a ball player, but also somebody who can crush you if you need to.
I'm not sure when that photograph was taken. I wonder, was that
a couple of years
with
back?
the minors a few years back? Because with one of those minor teams, he used to come on as a sub and make massive impacts on their way to winning one of the All-Ireland titles, and then he kind of developed a bit further, got into a starting position. He's a midfielder for his club. And then Jack O'Connor put him in at fullback. Won Munster Under 20 Player of the Year, was outstanding. And there was rumours last year, around the time that David Clifford at Cunbar had gone to a combine outside of Ireland to actually try out for an AFL team. And when we heard nothing more of it, we kind of heard that David Clifford was staying, and then we automatically put 2 and 2 together and said, well, O'Cunbar is staying as well. Not the case. The
same combine, apparently, as Killian McDade, who's just returned home without playing the game. So, I mean, it's not a done deal that you go and you automatically are a success, but,
his development is out of Kerry's hands now.
Yeah. Like, they obviously made a huge play to keep David Clifford. Now, I don't know if Clifford has the athletic profile of your stereotypical AFL player. I don't know. Like, is he as fast and as strong as you need to be? I don't know. So maybe it was easier to keep him because it was less. There was fewer concrete offers on the table. Maybe not. Maybe the AFL are like, yeah, of course we'll have you. Look what you can do. Look at how you create space, and look at your movement, and look at your ball skills generally. I don't know, but surely there's something that Kerry can do to say, go to college. Here's your career path. Get these work experience opportunities. Be a semi-professional full-time athlete the way a lot of people are at this stage, no?
You'd like to think so. Like, he's obviously from Tralee Cunbar, and there will be a good relationship between the IT there and the county board to set something up for him if he wanted to go to college. But maybe that just wasn't the case. When you talk about providing opportunities and providing work, I guess, and kind of a future for Cunbar and Kerry, like it's very, very. What can you create for somebody in this country that's going to outdo a professional lifestyle in Australia for 2 years? Like that's probably all he's looking at. It's like, I've got a 2-year contract down here. Doesn't always work out for people. In a lot of cases, they've got no hope of making it after the 2 years. But I'm going to go down. I'm still a young guy. Have my 2 years, experience the whole professional lifestyle, and come back and hopefully make the Kerry team when I come back. So I can completely accept it on his own personal level. I don't know, to be quite honest with you, if there was an effort to keep him or not, and if questions should be asked in that regard. But I would say it's just one of those cases where Kerry were fairly powerless to keep him, because, but like, I do wonder, when you mentioned David Clifford there, I wonder, was David Clifford's chance of joining the AFL hampered by how skillful he is? Where they look at a guy who's like, I can't actually see what sort of an athlete this guy is, because he's just kicking the ball over the bar from all sorts of angles. Whereas a Cunbar playing at full back is just kind of bursting out of defence with the ball, and the athletic abilities of Cunbar are kind of more noticeable in that position because he's not kicking points.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's like a one-dimensional view.
No, I like, so when you think about Clifford's outstanding single moment over the last couple of years, it's probably the goal. I mean, it's any one of the number of highlight reel goals that he had before he actually played a senior game in Croke Park. But the goal against Monaghan, not the type of skill set that you would expect the AFL are like, oh, well, look, he can definitely find the inside corner there he can thread the ball through the eye of a needle. They're like,
how big are his biceps?
I want force. Yeah. So there you go. Very quickly, for me, the Times Ireland edition, O'Neill will win because I'm still good. It's never a great sign, is it? Oh yeah, also Wembley no longer being sold to Shad Khan. I mean, that means no NFL team in London. What the hell are you doing there? Anyway, it's unfortunate.
I think the football writers in London are rejoicing at the moment.
Well, Henry Winter's devastated.
Is he?
A shameful betrayal of the nation's children.
I thought everybody was against the idea of Khan coming in to buy Wembley.
I think they changed their mind. I think it was a mixed, no?
What happened to change their mind?
The fact that the money was going straight to
grassroots.
Yeah, and that it was basically, it was still going to be the home of England football games. So whenever they wanted it, they would get it, and they would get 600 million quid.
I presume is there a good dollop of debt still on the new Wembley at the moment that the FA are shouldering?
I thought they'd got rid of it. I thought that was the...
Well, still, if you've got £670 million to pump into grassroots development, then you're going to take that, obviously. I thought there was just a little bit more discontent about the whole thing.
Very quickly, I've already asked you this question, so you know the answer to it, but pretend you don't. How many full championship matches has Cormac Costello played in his entire career? He's the same age now as Kevin McManaman was when he scored that goal in 2011 against Kerry.
I have no idea what that goal was.
He's 24. How many full championship matches do you think he's played?
Well, I don't know.
You guessed 20 earlier.
Well, you didn't. You said how many games has he finished?
The answer is 0. He hasn't started and finished. He has started and finished 0 games.
That is an incredible statistic.
Like, I mean,
it's not overly surprising, but you would have thought that there would have been.
How many do you think he started in 6 seasons?
That's good. I'd say a dozen.
2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I like it's that is incredible for one of the most talented players, young players that they've got in their squad. But I would have thought that maybe there was like a lot of Leinster Championship games in there that just completely passed the mind.
How does Irish football get out of the mess? Is Gary Doyle's quick 5 points, sack the board, number 1, 2, change the manager, number 2, copy Rugby's model, number 3, and establish elite academies is number 4. He's only got a 4-point plan, but all of those 4 points worth your time today. So we'll get to the tabloids.
Yeah, let's.
So I'll be shouting Irish news, do the Irish news. So we'll do the Irish news really quickly. Here you go. Lynch likely to follow Derry duo in calling time on County. And Down Royal Racecourse to close at the end of the year. Massive dispute about the future of Down Royal Racecourse. We'll try and get to that on Friday Night Racing properly. Blue.
Oh yeah, we haven't gone through the papers. A couple of tabloids to go through. Although we will start with the Herald. O'Neill, we will qualify. Irish boss promises Euro 2020 spot despite only 1 win in 9 games. And the back page of the Irish Daily Mail then is I'm good at this. O'Neill insists he can qualify for Euro 2020 and Blues best has yet to come, warns Jordan Larmour. Back page of the Irish Daily Star then, it's pretty much Martin O'Neill all the way this morning, as you can imagine. 2020 vision, the big debate, should he stay or should he go? Under fire, O'Neill believes he can still guide Irish to Euros. Kev set for a City return as well here on the back page of the Irish Daily Star. Kevin De Bruyne could be back for Manchester City this weekend. And referee chief Patrick Doherty is hopeful a woman referee will ref an All-Ireland final in his lifetime but he says it isn't an inevitability. Back page of the Mirror then is, we'll be okay because I'm good. O'Neill insists he can turn results around. While there's an exclusive, the Boot Room Boys, the unseen story of Liverpool's conquering heroes inside in the Mirror this morning. The back page of the Sun then is our worst run since 2007. Fans booing, but don't worry, Martin says we will still qualify because he's good. Finals fantasy.
Oh, finals fantasy. There's our Sun have nailed their colours this morning.
Also, there's a very interesting story here in the back of the Sun. Hans, H-A-N-S, off the Rice. No, Declan Rice doesn't have a German grandfather. Declan Rice could be the centre of another tug of war as Premier League clubs battle to fend off a German mega raid on their kids. West Ham's Rice, who could yet choose to play for Ireland or England, and Manchester City's Phil Foden are on Borussia Dortmund's radar. So, and every club in the Bundesliga says this particular story. Every club had a representative present on Tuesday when England's under-17s beat Brazil's youngsters 3-1. One top agent, the Sun says, it is clear that German clubs are targeting the best talent in England. The word is out and the clubs can offer regular football to youngsters who would take years to establish themselves in the Premier League. So Rice at the age of 19 is ripe for picking, I think, if we're going to believe that story. And plenty of more English, like young Sancho, who's doing good stuff with Dortmund at the moment. Could there be more English players going that way? Well, more Irish players would be an idea, is what I would suggest. The Daily Telegraph then is Can pulling plug on £600 million deal for Wembley, and it's the same story as well on the back of the Guardian this morning. No deal. Can calls off divisive £600 million Wembley sale.
I mean, I'm disappointed. Where are they going to play their NFL games now?
In America. Because it's the NFL. It's an American sport.